called strike, and he takes second base. But now the Jays are down to their final strike. We'll see. It's over.
Wow.
They need to win 2 at Texas to play another game in Toronto.
Well, there wasn't anything lucky about the Rangers' 2 wins. I mean, they played baseball. 1-1 from Thompson. Bautista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
You can only flirt with fire for so long, and it's going to burn you.
And we get set for baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Kansas City Royals. A tremendous run by the Blue Jays to just take away the AL East as they ended winning it. No true position player has ever come in to pitch in the postseason. And in this case, making history is Cliff Pennington. 91 for a strike.
Look at the faces on the bench there. Wow.
Sportsfeld! It is Sportsfeld Storytime. We are looking back to the Toronto Blue Jays versus Kansas City Royals 2015 American League Championship Series Game 6, which I have forgotten about and erased from my memory. This is a experience going back in time and reliving Blue Jays Royals as I had sworn to never do again. But first, the Blue Jays had to get through the Texas Rangers, and nothing easy. The Blue Jays started things off. The first home playoff game in Toronto in 23 years, and it was David Price on the hill. We had just been scratching the surface on the David Price is not good in the playoffs narrative. It had not been fully realized yet, but he did allow 5 runs in that very first playoff appearance. It started off with 2 runs in the third. The Blue Jays got one back in the bottom half of the fourth, 2 more in the fifth. The Blue Jays then make it 4-3, but he cannot hold on in the 7th inning. Rougned Odor, who he was not quite yet the biggest enemy in the city, but the first writing of that chapter is him in Game 1 hitting the insurance run home run off David Price in the 7th inning.
Yeah, I remember I watched this game at the Wheat Sheaf, and I was saying how like basketball playoffs is stressful, but like baseball playoffs are another breed entirely. You have so much time to sit and think and dread. And I remember in this game specifically, in Game 1 of the 2015 ALDS, just staring at the score overlay and just like trying to will the score to change to make the Jays not be losing.
I couldn't agree more. The playoff baseball is just like, it's just 3 hours punched to your stomach.
It's not fun.
It is not fun. Jose Bautista hit a home run in that game, of course.
Of course, that's what he did. And that was it. We were all waiting for Jose Bautista to make the playoffs. That was the whole thing for like 10 years. What's he going to do when he makes the playoffs? And it turns out he was going to kick the shit out of the Texas Rangers.
Habitually. As well, Ebwin hit an RBI single to score Van Revere. Kevin Pillar hit a RBI double to score Russell Martin. Jose Bautista hit a home run off Keone Kela to make it 4-3, but again, Rougned Odor makes it 5-3. Sam Dyson gets into a bit of trouble in the 9th, a little foreshadowing there, but manages to get out of it. Not great. Game 2, October 9th, 2015. Jake and I find ourselves way up in the 500s, watching Blue Jays versus Rangers. It is Cole Hamels versus Marcus Stroman. We got lucky in seeing a Stroman start. Stroman goes 7, gives up 4 runs, 3 earned. Hamels matches him, goes 7, gives up 4 runs, 3 earned. And this game,
I hate this game. It's one of my.
I hate this game a lot.
This was not a fun live experience.
I mean, Stroman gave up 2 runs before getting the first out. It was double, single, fielder's choice. So it was 2-0 before they had even really gotten settled into our seats.
Yeah, and then I know that Cecil blew the game. Is this the game that Cecil got hurt? I feel like this is the game that he blows the save and also got injured, which obviously we bring up a lot thinking about the Royals. Yes, this was. He tore his left calf in this game, running to first base to cover first. To quote, I miss John Gibbons so much. John Gibbons' reaction to losing arguably his best reliever that year, being down 0-2 in a playoff series in a best of 5, goes, that's not very good. I miss him so much. I miss John Gibbons so much.
I gotta tell you, I completely blocked out of my memory that I was in the fucking building for the Cecil injury.
Until this moment. I have no recollection.
That's news to me that I was there for that. That's crazy. Oh, that makes me bummed.
Blue Jays used 8 pitchers in this one. Stroman, Cecil, Osuna, unfortunately, Mark Lowe, Aaron Loop, Aaron Sanchez, LaTroy Hawkins took the loss, and I have a very clear memory of LaTroy Hawkins coming to this game in the 14th and turning to you and going, oh boy. And immediately he gave up 2 runs. And then Liam Hendricks came in after LaTroy Hawkins, which seems like an odd decision, but...
Yeah, it does seem like a fucking terrible decision. But, that seems really, really bad. Holy moly. Russell Martin, RBI single. Kevin Pillar had a double play run that scored a run. Kevin Pillar-esque. And then Ben Revere's RBI single in the 5th tied the game at 3. Mike Napoli, boy, oh boy. I can't believe we were there for the injury. That hurts me so deeply.
It's crazy how that just wasn't in my brain though.
Yeah.
That's wild. I remember this game really well because we were there, but I don't remember the injury I guess it was 14 innings of hell, so remembering everything.
Yeah, what happens in the 8th inning is just over halfway through the game.
Then they went to Texas and everything changed.
Well, this is a great experience of Tulo. Look, he's got an open bag. They're going to make him have to hit a pitcher's pitch if he's going to swing here.
Playoff pitch, and Tulowitzki with a drive. Deep left field, and gone! 3-run home run. Off the bat of Troy Tulowitzki, his first hit of the postseason. Blue Jays lead 5-0.
Everything does change. It all turns around. I'll say it. It all turns around on Sunday night thanks to the Troy Tulowitzki home run.
Yes, I agree. That was so needed. 3rd inning, Tulo goes yard, solo shot. Oh, he went yard in 5th, in the 6th or the 1st?
It's the
6th. He went yard in the
6th. He's a walk-in run in the 4th, and then with 2 on against Chichi Gonzalez, he hits a bomb, a line drive laser home run, scoring Bautista and Encarnacion, making it 5-0, the first breathing room of the whole series.
That was I remember that. I was always more so than I think any other playoff series of any team I've rooted for. When the Jays went down 0-2 in 2015, I was pretty convinced they were going to at least send it to 5. And then when Tulo hit that home run, it was okay. This is fine.
Yes, the team had spent the previous couple months training us to believe that basically nothing was out of reach. They were going to at least make a game of pretty much any situation, and this is the playoff version of that starting.
And they hadn't lost 3 games in a row in months, and so the odds of it happening seemed really low. And as to your point, they had so many games they were down 4-0 in the first, and they'd win 12-4.
The Drew Hutchison games.
Yes. Or R.A. Dickey, as we will also discuss.
Game 4 was the game that we were expecting when this series started. The Blue Jays came right out of the gate and said, fuck you, from the beginning. 7-0 through the top of the 3rd. Exactly what you're looking for. It is Donaldson home run, a Colabello home run, a Pilar home run, Edwin RBI, a Colabello double for an RBI, and then Kevin Pillar single for an RBI, 7-0 going into the bottom of the 3rd.
And if you remember, this game had some controversy because there was the question of, will they have to pitch David Price in relief? And everyone was losing their fucking mind for 3 days about, will David Price pitch in relief? I believe he actually caught Kevin Pillar's home run ball And then David Price did pitch in relief. He relieved R.A. Dickey through 3 innings and got the win in this game. But he wasn't very good.
I will say this, and at the time, it bothered me greatly that not only do they use Price, which whatever, you're trying to lock a game down, but he pitches so poorly that they end up having to use Osuna. This is a 7-0 lead at one point, and they give up enough runs to make it 8-4 that they use Osuna in the 9th inning. It was my first, I really didn't like how the way that went, because I wanted them to not see Osuna in every single game, which is dangerous in a short series.
And you kind of, I remember wanting to have the cushion of Stroman and Price in a potential Game 5, which obviously we didn't need. But I do remember this was it felt kind of like the first thing all year, at least for a few months, because this season was so overwhelmingly positive. It was like the first thing in months that people were sort of fighting about and wringing hands about David Price, of all people, which was
and we were at the point through Game 4. Aaron Sanchez has pitched in all 4 games so far.
Yes, and he would pitch in all 5.
He would pitch in all 5, it's so crazy to think about the faith that we had in Aaron Sanchez.
I maintain and will for the rest of my days that Aaron Sanchez should have never left the bullpen.
I mean, he ended up being quite a good player.
The next year he was outstanding, but then
he led the league in ERA.
And now he's basically out of baseball. I still think he should have never left the pen, but that's just me. I digress.
Well, you digress. Game 4 of Blue Jays Rangers, pretty uneventful. Not a lot to get into that one. Jays win 6-3. The big bottom of the 7th. What else in this series?
But what else can we possibly say about this game that hasn't been said 100 times?
It's an episode unto itself.
I don't even know if it is an episode unto itself, because of every game in Blue Jays history, including ones where they literally won the fucking World Series, no game has been covered and covered and covered and covered like Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS. Rightfully so, because it was bananas. But I think that game, obviously we appreciate how crazy it was because no one ever stops talking about it. But that was the craziest day.
It's one of the craziest innings in all of baseball ever. Forget being a Blue Jays fan. Forget anything else, any other qualifier. It is total pandemonium. An hour of pure pandemonium, the likes of which is indescribable with simple this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It is almost impossible. Had it not happened, the team I cheer for in a day where I am watching, I don't know how I would explain it to anybody. I don't know how I will explain it to somebody who wasn't there. I don't know how I would explain it to a child. It is impossible occurrence after impossible occurrence after impossible occurrence.
Yeah, and it was truly, truly, truly indescribable in all ways.
It ends with a Bautista home run. I'll tell you that much. Russell Martin hits the hitter in the batter's box. His bat trying to throw the ball back to Aaron Sanchez. Shin-Soo Choo is at the plate. Rougned Odor scampers home and puts a curse on himself. Is what he does there. He scores, no RBI. It's an error. They take the lead in the 7th inning in 3-2, and then just craziness ensues.
Absolute chaos.
Just total chaos. Russell Martin hits a ground out, but no, E6. Kevin Pillar hits a double play ball, but no, E3. Dalton Pompey pinch runs. There's a fielder's choice, E6. There is a ground out. Finally, somebody gets an out without an error. 1 out, Josh Donaldson scores a run. He scores Kevin Pillar to tie it up, and then Jose Bautista, fucking forget about it. The bat flip, one of the great plays, one of the big home runs in the history of baseball, and one of the all-time moments in Blue Jays history, and the crowning achievement of Jose Bautista's career, a 3-run shot to make it 6-3, and then later in that inning, Troy Tulowitzki would end the inning by popping out and completely frying the final brain cell inside Sam Dyson's head. He comes over and taps him on the butt for some reason, and that draws a crowd.
Well, don't touch Troy Tulowitzki. How dare you?
The rest of the game is pretty tight, pretty no problem. Sanchez gets the 8th done. The runner gets to 2nd, but he gets the 8th with no problem, 2 strikeouts. Nothing happens in the 9th for the Jays, and then Osuna 1, 2, 3. Problem solved. The Blue Jays are going to the American League Championship Series to face the Kansas City Royals, who had the previous season ended the year with the possible tying run at the World Series on third base, which hurt. The Royals were 95-67 that year, behind names like Eric Hosmer, Alcides Escobar, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, Alex Gordon, Alex Rios, low-key, Kendrys Morales, Ben Zobrist was there, Tulowitzki edition, and Salvador Perez behind the plate. Pitchers like Yordano Ventura, Edinson Volquez, Jeremy Guthrie, Danny Duffy, Chris Young, Johnny Cueto, and the bullpen was the big talking point. It was Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, Ryan Madsen. They sort of had no easy place to go.
An underrated what if that I think about a lot with the 2015 Blue Jays is the Houston Astros also went to 5 games in the Kansas City Royals in the ALDS. Astros were up 2-0 in that game, and then 2-1, and then just got fucking shelled in the 5th and the 8th and lost 7-2. But I think a lot about if Houston had beat the Royals, how badly the Jays would have beat the Astros. I think about it a lot.
That is a great forgotten what if, because prior to the bat flip, I remember that quite well. It was like, oh, it's going to be Rangers Astros. It's going to be the ALCS. Yeah. That's going to happen. And then there was the double meltdown. Crazy. That 5-game series are crazy, man.
Well, we'll see one this year, hopefully.
That's true. Boy, oh boy. Game 1, more of the same. The Blue Jays, they lose this one 5-0. Marco Estrada, can't really pin it on him. LaTroy Hawkins blows his 2nd game of the playoffs, gives up 2 runs in the 8th, 3 runs given up by Estrada on 6 hits over 5 innings. Not really going to blame him for this. The Jays only mustered 3 hits in the entire game. Edinson Volquez was quite good. And then it was Herrera, Madsen, Hochevar. That's right. What they did. The Royals, all they had to do was get 6 innings or 5-6 innings, and they would just shut you down the rest of the way.
And also, the way I remember it being a big story too, because like the 2015 Jays were just dinger central, and Kauffman Stadium is not a hitter-friendly park at all. I remember this Royals team just hit singles. So fucking annoying. Yep. Ugh.
No slugging. It was all opposite field singles and slap garbage, and
I hate them so much.
So not a great start. It was looking, but we had also just had imprinted into our heads that they were going to overcome anything. Yeah. They felt like a team of destiny, really right? It was. They won a bunch of regular season games they shouldn't have won.
And they had the moments, like we said. There's the Estrada near perfect game, the Donaldson catch in that game, the bat flip, clinching the East, the hangover game, it really felt destined. It really did.
Game 2 of that series, another loss. They go behind 2-0 in both series. This is the
Ryan Goins game, if you will.
This is the Ryan Goins game. David Price, who is cruising, really, if we're being honest, through 6 innings, scoreless, barely giving up a hit through 6, just like no problem, nothing doing. Jays have given them a 3-0 lead. We get to the 7th inning, and Ben Zobrist, it's called a single to right. It should not be called a single to right. It should be called a pop-out to right field, or an error on the second baseman, if you will. It falls in.
Bottom of the 7th inning, 3-0, 1 pitch and a pop-up. Right side. And it's going to drop as Goins looked like he called for it. Then Bautista stayed away. And the miscommunication cost Toronto an out.
Lorenzo Cain follows that up with a single to right field. Single to right field was the recipe of the year for this goddamn team.
Yes, it really was.
Eric Hosmer singles up the middle. Sure. Kendrys Morales grounds out, as he is wont to do. That scores a run, so now it's 3-2. Moustakas singles to right. Strikeout. Double to left. Single. And now it's suddenly 5-3. The Blue Jays in a lot of trouble, down 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, I don't like this game. I've never, other than the Ryan Goins play, I don't think I've ever watched a replay of this game in my life.
I would say that goes double for me with literally any of this series. Until we did this, I was ready to forget this ever happened. Melissa, my darling, lovely wife, who is never afraid to be a bit of a contrarian, never afraid to challenge me, which is one of the things I love about her, will always say to me that, sure, Ryan Goins should catch that pop-up. Sure, absolutely right. But David Price, being David Price, should be able to get out of a jam with a runner on first in this game.
I agree.
You could also say maybe...
But it's... I'm not going to sit here and blame David Price, though.
No, we're not in the business of doing that. You could also maybe say... Maybe you go to Sanchez earlier. But he had given up basically no hits.
He was almost perfect.
He had given up literally no hits?
I think
perfect? No, he had given up a single in the first inning. So he had retired every hitter since the leadoff. Alcides Escobar singles in the first, and then it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 straight outs until, 16, 17, 18 straight outs until this
That game felt like a fucking fever dream. Like, that collapse was just like, you were watching it happen slowly in real time, and it was like, oh no.
I can't believe that they lose this game, even though it's been so long. Up 5-0, it seemed, or pardon me, up 3-0, sitting pretty comfortable. Edwin and Tulo getting it done. All usual suspects. I was pretty sure they were going to win this game.
So was I.
We move forward. They come back to Toronto, though. They have to come back to Toronto. 11-8. The Blue Jays win this game. Were we at
We were,
this
yes.
one?
This was the night of the federal election in Canada when Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister. It was an eventful evening that we were at the ballpark for.
And I will say, I mentioned the previous series, the blowout. I was worried they shouldn't have come to Osuna. This is the game I was thinking of, where Liam Hendriks allows 3 runs. They are up 11-4, and Liam Hendriks allows just enough runs for them to have to use Osuna. And I go, that's too many Osunas for one series. If you're gonna, and I think I maybe stole that talking point from a Buck or Tabby, someone who was like, you don't want them to see your closer that many times. Another Stroman start. We saw 2 Stroman starts. The Jays just all over them from the start here.
The Cueto chance. This was a fun one. This was a really fun one.
Into the bullpen goes Ned Yost. And out of this one goes Johnny Cueto. Reaction to the crowd serenading him, which they've been doing since the start of this game.
And I've heard that song before, Joe. Cueto.
Yes, he's heard it too. And they're all over him. They're still asking for him. We want Cueto.
Of course, he was the starter in that wild card game in Pittsburgh for Cincinnati a couple of years ago.
Yes, that's right. Kevin Pillar and Ryan Goins have a really good game. Goins, of course, hits a home run later on in this blowout, which does not win him back into our good books.
But Tulo and Donaldson hit home runs, which always in our good books.
We love. Johnny Cueto, as you mentioned, that he was mercilessly booed. He only lasted 2 innings. He gave up 8 earned runs, walked 4. Chris Medlin, not much better, allowed 2 home runs. It was a turkey shoot pretty much the whole way until Liam Hendriks came in, allowed 3 runs, only got 1 out, ballooned his ERA up to 40. So maybe Gibby did know something. We were talking about using Hendriks after LaTroy Hawkins, but maybe they knew.
This is about the point, though, where you really start going, "Oh, I wish they had Brett Cecil."
Yes, that's right. And with how much Eric Hosmer ends up hurting them in this series, and absolutely, you are looking for Brett Cecil because the number of guys you were really relying on, especially after Hendricks blows up here, is you can rely on Sanchez and you can rely on Osuna, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Game 4, the less said about Game 4, the better.
Yeah.
I think this is brutal. This is 14-2.
R.A. Dickey and then the bullpen. Not a good day.
Holy smokes.
Cliff Pennington pitched in this game, by the way.
Yes, this is the Cliff Pennington game.
Second baseman, Cliff Pennington.
14-2. So say what you will.
Then game 5, of course, the Marco Estrada game. The loudest I've ever heard Skydome was when Marco Estrada came off the field.
7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 5 Ks. Up there with the greatest pitching performances in Blue Jays playoff history.
Unquestionably. And it was just so fun to watch. Oh, it was such a good game.
That's a base hit into right. And we'll see if Estrada remains to face Rios. The answer is no, and we'll be quiet, and you can just enjoy the ovation for Marco Estrada.
We love Marco. This was peak Marco Estrada, keeping him off balance, not letting anything hard. 73 game score, just a delight. I also will always remember that him walking off the field to that, and about as good as it gets. And man, we don't say it enough. Classic Gibby, classic fucking Gibby. It is 7-1, and Gibby comes out and gets him with 1 out in the 8th, so we can walk off in front of the crowd instead of at the end of an inning.
Man, he was the best. Gibby was the best.
Gibby fucking gets it, man. This is similar. Melissa always reminds me of this. Is John Bertie, who is now with the Miami Marlins. He was a minor leaguer forever. I think John Bertie is already 30 or in his late. Yeah, John Bertie's already 30, and he was in the Blue Jays system forever. He came up and played 4 games as a 28-year-old rookie with the 2018 Blue Jays. And in his debut game, Bertie's first time playing in the infield, Gibby goes out to make a pitching change, goes up and puts his arm around John Bertie and has him turn around and face the Jumbotron so the crowd can see his face. And the crowd goes nuts and gives Gibby a standing O on his way off. I miss Gibby. I love Gibby. And that, my friend Jake, brings us to where we are going. We have arrived at Game 6.
Yep.
Blue Jays versus Kansas City Royals. We'll talk about it on the next episode of Sportsfeld Storytime. Sportsfeld!